I have no idea what this is gonna look like. We're looking at this together, so let's get the light in here. But that is bad. What is up, you guys? Today I'm gonna be walnut blasting the 335. This thing is in dire need of the carbon cleaning for those intake valves. It's actually got 140,000 miles on it, and to my knowledge, and I confirmed this with the previous owners, it has never been walnut blasted at all. So as you can see, I've got my supplies here, and I've actually already made a YouTube video, and let's see if I can pull this up. I was referencing my own old video here, how to walnut blast valves for the 335. When I did it on my 135 a while ago. But I'm back at it again. I got the shop vac, walnut shells, the blaster itself, along with the special attachment and the special adapter to go into the ports. And I also have the starter bumper, some painter's tape to block off the holes that I'm not doing. And I do want to mention, because I'll link all this stuff in the description below so that you guys can kind of follow along with what I'm doing. I'm going to try to do a DIY, but we'll see how that goes as this goes on, because sometimes I just don't have time to film every step. So maybe DIY, maybe just showing you guys how bad those things are going to look, because I guarantee they're going to be nasty. But I do want to clarify, usually the gun that comes with this kit from Harbor Freight here, really cheap kit that I bought, it comes with this ceramic tip that goes in there. That does nothing for what we're doing, so if you buy the same kit, you're going to want to get this attachment, and I'll link this from the website online, where you'll get an adapter that'll fit right into the Harbor Freight gun. Comes with this piece as well, which is the most important piece of the puzzle. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get to it. I got to take that cowl off first. Man, I really need a new camera for this. This thing doesn't autofocus very well. But I gotta take the cowl off. I'm actually gonna get some cowl filters in the future, just so I can stop ripping that on and off. But that's a future video. So let's go ahead and get started. I just got the cowl off. Oh! Wow. I had no idea this had a catch can on it already. As you can see right here, it's got a Burger Motorsports oil catch can. I thought this thing was basically stock, aside from the dine-in intake, but I guess we've got a little treat here. Cool. Alright, I'm going to continue on now. I think the next step is going to be actually taking the airbox assembly out, so we can get out that intake manifold there. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. Ooh, I've been wondering what injectors are in this thing. Let's see here. Index 7, it looks like. 777, they're all Index 7, which, if I had a guess, is probably original. I'm not sure. But the current injectors are all Index 11, so these are definitely a few versions back. But that's alright. I mean, it seems to be performing okay. Nothing crazy, so let's keep on going here. I'm going to get that airbox out next, and then we can get at this intake manifold. Uh-oh. That's not a good noise. Man, this thing is really light. Full carbon. This thing's sweet. Okay, a little dirty, but nothing bad. Now we're just left with the base of the air box. So now the clamps are loose from those inlets, and this kind of just pulls up off these rubber mounts once you get those inlet connections loose. I might have to get the last one is on this back corner here. There we go. So now this kind of should just finagle out of there. And there are a few connections on the back side where these cables run through. So you got to pull these off. This back side here. Those 3 cables are loose. Let's see if this comes out. Oh man. Never a good noise to hear. Did not hit the ground, and I don't know what it was. This that goes on this Dynon intake here slipped off. So I'm going to take that off for now. I just took all the nuts off of the intake manifold there, and now I'm going to try and kind of pull it back, and the charge pipe's still connected. I'm having a hard time getting the charge pipe loose from the throttle body, but I think I can pull the whole assembly off in one piece and then disconnect the charge pipe. Let's see here. Caught on anything so far? So far so good. I think I'm actually running into problems with the charge pipe still being connected. I just had so much fun getting this charge pipe out. But that was the next step to get the manifold off. So I just took the charge pipe out. I'm going to set this over here, and I have all these nuts loosened. I removed them all except for this one. So I just removed the last nut holding this intake manifold on. Oh, I just remembered there's a black box under here. We'll see how far I can get this off without having to deal with that black box under there. Okay. That seems to be as far as I can get. Let's take a peek inside of these intakes and see what we're working with. I have no idea what this is gonna look like. We're looking at this together, so. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you guys can see that. There we go. These are bad. So as you can see, I got the intake manifold completely off, charge pipe out. I have got parts everywhere. But I got a better lens on, and I want to show you guys what these valves really look like. Alright, there, it's focused. Look at how bad that is. Look at how much carbon buildup is on these things. Oh my goodness. I have never really seen them this bad before on a car. I mean, these are caked. So I'm gonna start the walnut blasting procedure tomorrow. It's late. I think I feel pretty good about getting all this stuff off. Obviously I've got some parts everywhere, but one other thing I do want to check is I'm going to pop that oil catch can open. I don't know if this thing's been changed in a very long time, so I'm going to pop this open and see what this looks like and at least empty that. I just popped off the oil catch can, and as you can see, not a whole lot in there, and looks like oil. So I'll dump this out and we're looking good. It's the next day and I'm ready to start actually cleaning the valves. So as you can see, I've got the walnut blaster filled with walnut shells. This line comes up and goes to the gun here on this part of the gun. And then I've got my air line hooked up going back to my air compressor. And for the vacuum, we've got the vacuum hose routed up into here with the special attachment on it. Basically, I'll just show you guys. So this is essentially what you'll be doing. You'll put the vacuum in the cylinder like that. You will take, oh, looks like we might be pre-feeding some walnut shells. But you'll put the gun into that hole, and once you're ready, you're going to turn the vacuum on so the vacuum sucks up the walnuts, and the air compressor feeds walnuts into the cylinder. So once you pull this trigger, you'll be feeding walnuts in, vacuuming them out, and that's essentially what this all boils down to. At the end, I'll usually take the walnut gun off and put this air gun on and just blow out the cylinder, just to get rid of all the excess walnuts that the vacuum doesn't get. But an important first step before you do any of this is you want to make sure, let me grab my flashlight, you want to make sure that these valves are closed. So that's why you'll see I've got the switch set up, hooked up on the starter. You'll put the red lead on where this red cable kind of connects, and you will put the black lead from this switch. Oh man, new camera coming soon. Join Patreon, help me buy a new camera. And the black lead is there on where that plug goes. You'll see there's a plug that you just unplug and clip the black line there, and this routes up to the switch itself here. So once you knock that on and then off, some of them are push button, those are a little easier, but I have an on off switch one. These valves will turn, let me show you inside of here. So I wish I had another set of hands here, but once I turn that switch, the valve will go up and down. You gotta make sure that this thing is sealed tight. You don't want any walnuts being fed into the head of the engine at all. So that's why you're doing this switch, to make sure that all the ports are sealed up tight. So I'm gonna do that. Like for example, you could see, if you look down into this one, it's wide open. Just give it a second here. Kind of hard to tell, but there you go. You can see inside of the actual cylinder head, there's that gap there. You got to eliminate that gap, otherwise you're going to be feeding walnuts right into the engine. So some of these are already closed, but you'll all have to do them separately, and then obviously tape off the ports that aren't being done, just so you don't get walnuts in them. So I'm going to prep this and get started. I got the first cylinder sealed up, ready to go. All the other ones are filled with shop towels so no debris gets in there. You got to remove the shop towels before you hit that switch, otherwise when it's turning over it's going to suck the towel in there. So make sure you remove those before you move over to the next valve. And I also have both inlets capped off with some towels, just so nothing gets sucked into either inlet on the turbo. But let's get started, and I'll do a little time lapse for you. So you can see starting to make some progress on this first cylinder, but man, this stuff is caked on here. We're starting to see the actual valve itself, but these walls are still so caked, and even this other valve still has a lot of buildup on it. So now if you're dealing with this, I grabbed basically a dental pick here. You can get an assortment pack of these, and I'm going to manually go in there and start scraping at the walls, just so I can start breaking up that buildup, and then I'll go back in there and walnut blast it. So I hit it with the walnuts, now I'm going to manually scrape it, and then I'm going to hit the wall with the walnuts again, and hopefully we can get that squeaky clean. This just blows my mind. That's from manually scraping. You can see just the pile of carbon. You can't even see the valves now. So I'm going to vacuum all this out and then hit it with walnuts again.
Several days later.
Alright, I got all the valves cleaned up. Probably kind of hard to see, but each cylinder now is cleaned all the way down. So that was a lot harder than I expected it to be. These were really caked, so I actually used a combination of some intake valve cleaner along with some manual labor with these picks here. So if you guys are dealing with some really bad valves, you're gonna probably have to get in there and manually pick some stuff apart. Another common area that people forget to clean is actually the inside of the ports of the intake manifold. So I just went through with this metal brush and some carb cleaner and some paper towels and cleaned all that up. I'll throw some pictures of what it looked like before on the screen versus after, but this will allow the air to flow a lot smoother. And this is the type of stuff I'm talking about for this build. Just cheap things that can make the tiniest improvements, and this is one of them. So obviously when you do this, I forgot to mention before, but you're going to want to replace the intake manifold gaskets here. I have 6 new ones, and I've got these crusty old ones here that are being replaced. So I'm getting those thrown in, and then everything's going back together in the car. Well, as you can see, I got her all finished up. Everything is back together. So I am actually going to take this thing on a quick little test drive because I want to see how smooth it is. I haven't started it since I did the walnut blasting. So let's jump in the car and see if this thing starts. It's actually been sitting for almost 5 days now. So it's going to be a super cold start. And previously, if I'd even let it sit overnight, it would be like a lumpy, bumpy idle. And I think this will clear up that idle. I hope so. Otherwise, I got maintenance coming either way. Like I mentioned before, I got parts up the wazoo ready for this car. But obviously, you guys will have to subscribe to see what that's all about. But let's go ahead and start this right now and see what happens here. Hopefully, it's nice and smooth. Okay, that is an awesome cold start. No hiccups, no nothing. So, I'm gonna take it for a little ride quick and bring you guys with. I can already tell after just leaving my house that this thing's butter smooth in comparison to what it was before. I am thrilled that we got that taken care of. It was long overdue, and those valves were by far the worst I've ever seen in person. Definitely needed to be done. So actually, I'll throw up a picture comparison of the valves on my 135 when I did those. I think that was around 90,000 miles, just to show you the difference between 90,000 and these at 140,000 on them, and these were much worse. So if you're up there in miles and you haven't had this done, definitely think about doing it. Check out the description down below. I've got all the links and a written DIY guide so you guys can take care of this yourself. And I also have links to other products that I use. So seriously, check out the description below. I'm gonna get on the highway here, and actually, you know what? I might as well just kind of give her some juice, because I guarantee we picked up some power just by cleaning these valves. Kind of restoring it back to the power that it should have came from the factory. So I got a lot of comments from you guys last time about the slow quarter mile, but this is my first time punching it. Let's see what happens here from 20. Oh my God, traction control city. That, I can just tell, getting up to 20 to 60 there, a big noticeable difference in just the way that power came on and carried out. It was nice, smooth power. It is raining a little bit now, so if you guys are hearing some raindrops, that's what that is. But yeah, seriously, I have no doubts that we can shave that quarter mile time down even further, because this thing is back to peak performance, and I've got a lot of mods waiting at home in the garage already to install to make it even faster. So seriously, if you guys haven't subscribed already, you don't want to miss out on this build, because it's going to get crazy, and I'm super excited about it. But I think that's gonna be the end of this video. So if you guys wouldn't mind throwing a like on this video, I really appreciate when you guys do that. Drop a comment down below. Seriously, I love hearing from you guys. I want your feedback. This is like an interactive project. So until the next video, which you guys aren't gonna want to miss, I will see you then. Peace.